right. Good evening, everybody. Let's do a brief audio and visual check. How's everybody doing tonight? This evening, morning, wherever you are at around the world. What's up, Master Trader Rick? Dakota Short 2 times this morning. I followed both of them. Oh, man, don't follow them, please. Do not follow my trades. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump straight into that risk disclosure in the YouTube chat. There is a Topstep risk disclosure. Everything you see and hear me say is for educational purposes only. So never follow me into a trade or take that as a signal. I mean, I tell you, everybody, I tell all the time, I lose most of my trades. And it's just very bad to just follow someone blindly into a trade, right? That's why we have to be our own boss, make our own decisions, and never just blindly follow a person into a trade. You follow me? Who? I don't. You guys need to make better decisions in life if you're following me. That's for sure. Well, I mean, the thing is, you just never know, right? You never know which one is going to be the winning trade. It's more about risk management than it is anything else in trading. All right, well, let's get started, everybody. I went through the risk disclosure. It is Monday night, and as you guys can read in the YouTube title, it's trade review. If you are following me in the Twitterverse and on X, social media, I did post it today during the New York session. I took a loss, down $5,000, and just two trades. I don't typically trade more than 5 trades. I mean, 2-3 trades is about my sweet spot. But 2 trades today, 2 trades, 2 losers, and a total of minus $5,000. And I'm going to be reviewing that later on this afternoon. We could do a fun Q&A, and I just want a review of. I mean, I would actually say it was a mistake. I followed my process over profits, right? However, I feel like I followed the wrong process. So just like how I give all these sports references to, like, yeah, you know, as a sports team, the sports teams have a bunch of different plays called up in their playbook, and depending on what the market's doing, they call up different plays. Well, I feel like I called up the correct play. However, I didn't follow through with it, and I incorrectly, I guess, executed the play. So I'll go through that. It was on the NASDAQ later on this afternoon, or later on into this class. And so let's start with our rapid fire: NASDAQ, crude oil, Nikkei, and the gold. So here's the NASDAQ. It's contract roll. You know, today is the new contract. You can see over here on the top left-hand quarter of X, we are in NQH 2025. This is the 1-hour chart, and just like obviously take a look at the day we had, and just as we were talking about that breakout last night, well, sure enough, that was one heck of a breakout, and that was one nice rally on the Nikkei, as you can imagine. Not the Nikkei, the NASDAQ. You know, 1 3/4%. Like, that is one big move today in the NASDAQ. So 1 3/4%. You can see the last time we had a move like that was obviously not too long ago, December 11th. We were up about 1 3/4%. How interesting is that? Where everyone's talking about these measured moves, and I do these measured moves. You know, not every single time, but quite often, and very similar, 1 3/4%. We've got a little bit of a pullback. I mean, if you want to say this is a pullback, 22,400s down to 22,370s. So about a 70-point pullback. And here we are. We're going up again. This market is maybe is this a 3-bar reversal? Are we going to see more continuation tonight and into tomorrow? I'm not sure. This market is extremely bullish. If you guys seen me, I don't know the prices. It was the previous contract, so I'll have to walk it through and kind of show you guys what I was talking about in terms of the trader review. And so let's take a look at the 5-minute chart. Let's take a look at the 5-minute chart, because trading all-time highs is very difficult, right? There's nothing over here on the left. It's just nothing, just blank. There's absolutely no market structure. And so as we're trading all-time highs, we have to trade what the most immediate price structure is, or the only price structure, and that's what we've seen today. We got a lot of consolidation here in these lower 400s, 409s, 404s, up to 419s. It looks like that became a little bit of resistance throughout near the close, and maybe that's going to become resistance tonight. I'm not sure. If we do break out, you can see there's a lot of support and resistance. So this is an interesting zone that is starting to show as an interesting zone here in the NASDAQ. And then, of course, there's a lot of chop. It looks like throughout most of power hour and most of the afternoon, it doesn't look like I missed out on much. I mean, if we want to talk about a definition of barcoding, right? Barcode, rally up, barcode, a little bit of a rally, and then just barcoded, and it looks like we finally got a decent pullback near the end of power hour. But that is definitely the definition of barcoding in the NASDAQ. This is going to be a key area for this upcoming week, as I'm starting to plot out these zones, as I'm starting out to plot out this maybe support and resistance zones. This is what I start to look at from a technical perspective of saying, where can this market go? Where is the support and resistance? And how can I trade around it, right? You can see where this was resistance on the way up, where we ran into these 370s and we broke through it. We came down. And, this resistance has started to become support. Simple, straightforward, easy. And, of course, you could go through, and it depends on how tedious you want to get, how detailed you want to get into it, and what you're considering as support and resistance. And you can mark this chart up until you can't see any candlesticks, to be honest. But in reality, I like to focus on the major ones. And that's going to be, obviously, it's a major one. It's the all-time high. We are showing that this is starting to become a major support and resistance. Remember, all of this is brand new. These are all-time highs, so this is brand new in this market. So now this is showing that it's becoming a major support and resistance, as of right now. And then again, we might have a decent zone here that can be a support and resistance. And like I said, it's starting to see it. It's not confirmed. Maybe this, you can say it's confirmed. And then, of course, the all-time high, whether you want to take into consideration it being a pretty big zone or not. This is the way I view the market, right? This is all-time highs. We're finally getting a little bit better market structure going into tonight. And I am going to be on fast markets tomorrow morning. And this is some of the zones that I'm going to be watching tonight and tomorrow morning. We are in a decision zone right now. Are we going to pull back and go back down to the bottom, maybe towards 380s? Or are we going to break out and come back towards all-time highs tonight, right? So looking through, thinking about this, thinking about where we're going to be ending up tonight, maybe seeing if there's a trade opportunity to trade along for a breakout up towards these 440s, trade for a short for a break down towards these 370s, 380s. And then, of course, looking at these higher time frames. Now, forgive me, I have a cough drop. I have a cough drop in my mouth because making sure I'm not coughing. But take a look at this 1 hour chart, right? 1 hour chart, very bullish. 1, 2, 3. I mean, if you take out that, is that a bearish candle? Not really. But very, very nice, long, strong, drawn-out day. Maybe there's going to be a lot of traders looking at this as a bullish flag, looking for a breakout and a continuation, continuing to make all-time highs. We shall see. I'll go back to the NASDAQ a little bit later when I'm doing the trade review, because I think it's very important. It's important in terms of, like, to be honest, I do learn so much more from my losing trades than I do my winning trades. So that being said, let's move on to crude oil. Crude oil, oof, man, it's not. I mean, what are we looking at in crude? Not a whole lot of nothing, to be honest. I mean, I'm gonna pass on crude. I have nothing to really say on crude. It's been a very choppy market. Maybe a double top and a rotation back down to 68s. I was really liking to see if we could break through this and come up and see these 75s. I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass on crude and save a lot of my time and energy not talking about crude oil. Nikkei. Nikkei is an interesting one. Bullish on the Nikkei, as always. It's something that has came into play, looking for buying the dip opportunities. We are coming up. Interesting big shout out to Peter Brandt. I know I've had some back and forth with Peter Brandt on social media, and who knows, maybe he listens in every once in a while. But he shared a Nikkei chart. He showed more of like a daily chart, and I mean, he was looking at a breakout to the long side, and I do like it, and I really do agree with him, where this is major resistance, and of course this is major support, and we have continued to make higher lows, right? Higher lows. We're talking about this on the daily, higher lows. It's going to be interesting to see if we can break through and break out above this 39,900 and retake 40,000. If we could retake 40,000, then maybe come up and test these highs, and maybe there is that opportunity for, I mean, dare I say all-time highs. The all-time highs in the Nikkei on this contract is going to be 42,600. 42,000, I mean, up here in this zone, 42,600s. So now, of course, that's a very long-term perspective compared to what we're looking at here as we day trade. This is a daily chart, but as we start to zoom in, you kind of this is how I kind of view it, right? We're looking at those higher time frames, kind of getting an idea of how everything's structured, looking in on these lower time frames, and you could see it. It's very simple and straightforward, where we're making these higher lows, continuing to make these higher lows. And so are we going to make a higher low here, or is this the higher low? And then we have that resistance, and it looks like actually tonight we tried to break out. We tried to break out of this resistance. That's interesting. We in terms of that, I mean, I'm long. I'm playing for this thing to break out to the long side. And I just noticed this is not my live account. I need to go back. So I am long, but I don't know why this is not showing my live account. Why is okay? We'll switch it to my live. Let's switch it to my live. I am long the Nikkei. Okay, weird. Okay, so there's still my drawings, but there's my trade. So anyway, so these are the higher lows. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. And so this is where I was debating this earlier, looking for either this to become that higher low. Oh, come on. Are we good? Are we good? Okay, we should be good now. I don't know why. Okay, maybe logging out of that. Okay, this is the 1 hour chart. Go Nikkei. And anyway, yeah, so that's what I'm looking at is these higher lows. Remember, take in mind, looking at, as we looked at the daily, and I was referring to that breakout higher. And this is major resistance. We went up. We failed to break through this. We rejected, came all the way back down to these 360s or 600s. And we're starting to rally back up again. And so what this trade is for is I'm going to be looking for a breakout back up here. I don't think I'm going to take contracts. This might be an overnight trade, looking to see if we can break out, and if we do break out above these 39,900s, I mean, there's a decent chance that we can make a run for these, 40,200s and come up here and test this zone. So that's what I'm looking for on this particular trade. A nice, let's see, we could measure that risk reward. I mean, that's a 6-to-1 risk reward. That's actually kind of possible too, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, that it really is. That's not 6-to-1. Maybe 4-to-1. 4-to-1 risk reward. I'd say a 4-to-1. That's a 4-to-1. And I'm not saying I'm going to exactly take profit there. Most likely I might take one contract off. Let me clean this out. I might take one contract off maybe around this zone. That's a possibility. And maybe maybe one contract off around this zone. So even though the final take profit might be a 4-to-1, I'm okay with a 1-to-1 and maybe a 2-to-1, and then close a couple off as we start to rally up. That is this trade. Man, Nikkei is looking like gold structure lately. Do Nikkei and gold correlate? I haven't really paid attention to the correlation between Nikkei and gold. Wow, too many higher lows. You're screwed on that. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Jim Meyer. Higher lows means the market is trending up and to the right, and I'm long. So I have that going for me, and so far so good. And if we jump into the 5-minute chart, kind of go through of what I was looking at is, I mean, that's basically it. So I'm going to walk through why my stop loss is where it's at. And I think traders who have seen me trade for a while might understand why my stop loss is below this level, right? We broke out. This is today during the New York session. We broke out this morning right before New York session started. We made some levels of support, rallied up, and we can kind of consolidated. We came down, tested, we rallied up all the way up to these 900s, sold off. And then I actually bought right before I came on stream. I went ahead and I bought right here. I don't know. There's the 730. So I bought here, had my stop loss below that, and yeah, the rest is history. And we watch and we see. We could keep this up, and I will be going over that trade I had on the New York session. We go over gold in a little bit as well. There's a wick. I'm not sure. Let's get to some questions before I probably missed some of the questions or some of the context. So give me a second. I'm gonna get a drink and then we'll get some what's for dinner. I actually went and ate at a nice restaurant today. Yep, I went and ate at a nice restaurant today, and it was really nice. What's the name? What's the difference between 100 ticks and the 1-minute chart? Chewy 13. The 1-minute chart prints a candlestick every 1 minute. The 100 tick chart prints a candlestick every 100 ticks. This just indicates how many, like what dictates one candlestick. 100 ticks, 1 second, a candlestick every 1 second, a candlestick every minute, and so forth. 100 ticks means 100 trades being executed. Like say it executes at 7:55, maybe it ticks down 1, 2, 3, 4, and so it really depends on what market you're trading. It's very hard. You can't correlate ticks to time usually. Where is glad to eat when we lose money? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Anthony Bell. How many hours do you normally trade? Are you looking at the charts? I would say, I would say slow markets, I'll trade about 1 to 2 hours at this time, 1 to 2 hours. That's why I'm holding my class. And then if I'm going to trade the New York session, it's the same thing. So New York session, 1 to 2 hours. Asian session, slow markets, 1 to 2 hours. If I trade both of them, it's going to be, 2 to 4 hours. And so I'd say max about 5 hours, max. I think the most I've traded in a day would be something like Friday when I was running Topstep stream, and I traded basically all day. I was watching the markets, but I wasn't trading every single, like I was not actively looking for trades. I was running a stream. Matt Duffy, I don't trade off the 1 minute. I typically trade off the 5 minute. For trend, I look at like the hourly chart and yeah, higher time frames. You guys see me do the analysis each and every night on higher time frames. Hourly chart, daily chart, kind of getting a top-down view, right? I look at those higher time frames and they give me a better idea of what's going on the lower time frames, right? So I look at the higher time frame and say this is an hourly chart. You can see all these higher lows and looking at these equal highs and saying, okay, maybe there's a decent chance that we could break through this 39,900s. And then I start to zoom into a 5-minute chart and try and place a trade off of it. Try and get at a decent price down here near these lows. Have my stop loss at a decent place based off the technical analysis, and see if we can, play out this trade. I mean, this is a pretty common trade, to be honest. It's a nice technical pattern, nice equal highs, higher lows, and yeah, we'll see. The question is always, is this stop loss too tight? I mean, you never know, right? There's been plenty of times where I've had this market come down, tag me out, hit my stop loss, and then reverse. And that's part of trading. Am I holding the Nikkei overnight? Yes, I'm going to be holding this. This is an overnight trade for me. Do you ever use the 4-hour chart, Lou? Sometimes I do. Not very often. How many strategies do you use? How many technical strategies are there, right? There's quite a bit of technical setups. So I don't know, maybe quite a bit. I try and show almost as much as I can. I try and show everything I can each and every night. Can you go over gold? Yeah, let's take a look at gold, actually. I haven't talked about gold. Let's take a look at gold. I'm going to log into my sim account for the gold because that's the Nikkei. Let's take a look at gold. I still have my analysis on gold. Gold's breaking out again, huh? Let's take a look. Let's do a top-down analysis of gold. So I'll show everybody. This is exactly how I analyze the market. So take the notes if you want to know what time frames I like to use. So I start on the daily. This is a daily chart, and I take a look and I say, what is gold doing on the daily chart? And I say, it's doing a whole lot of nothing. We're just consolidating. It looks like we, tried to break out once, came back down around the 2670s, consolidate for over a week. We tried to break out again, right back down towards 2670s, more consolidation. And so to me, on the daily chart, I mean, I'm expecting consolidation. There's nothing else to expect on this chart. I mean, from my perspective. Then I'll zoom into an hourly chart and say, okay, well, what's gold doing on the hourly chart? Well, on the hourly chart, we made a reversal here. We made a nice rally. This rallied up to, oh, how uncannily was this? Correct me, was I right last night? Did I go over gold last night? Anybody who was here, correct me. Please let me know. Did this really play out that well? I was looking for gold to rally up to these 2680s and have this become resistance again. Let me know. I'm really curious because, or was I just dreaming? Because I kind of think this is what I was looking at last night. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not. Sometimes it works out really well, right? I mean, trading it and calling it are two different things. But yeah, I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird how it played out that well. But sometimes that's what basic technical analysis does. It plays out like this. Do I see charts when I dream? Sometimes, man. Sometimes I wake up. I'm like, I don't know if do I remember trading this? Do I remember whether it was in front of? Here's where I struggle with a little bit is I don't know if I'm doing the analysis in front of the chat or if it was analysis I did by myself. And so sometimes I have short-term memory, it feels like, where I say, I don't know if I went over this in class or if this was something I was just doing and looking at on my own. So I don't know what I say during class. And sometimes I don't know what I do on my own just because it's the same analysis. And like this is the same analysis I'll do whether I'm in front of a camera or I'm not in front of a camera. It's the same thing. So yeah, I mean, sure enough, we went up, we tested it once, we came back down, and yeah, we found buyers here at these 60s. So I think we're just going to see a lot more chop here in gold. Maybe we follow something that's like, I don't know, something like this, and we just chop. It's very hard to trade gold in this range. I mean, Dobie, he's a range trader, so he's probably absolutely loving this on where you could just do exactly that. You buy near these lows, you sell near these highs. It's not going to be perfect. It's very similar to what we've seen here. Buy these lows, sell these highs. knowing that's not going to be perfect. It's going to be a zone. I mean, and anything, maybe we just wait for gold to rally up to, you know, maybe I have another, here's another prediction. Okay, here's another prediction. Let's see if gold could rally up to 2690s. Can we see gold rally to 2690s? Maybe we could see something like this. Tomorrow, maybe we talk about something like that. And maybe we see stuff like this where it's just consolidating, it's hard to trade, and we see that. It would be interesting to see. But yeah, no trades for me on gold. Maybe a long for that, but just consolidation on the gold. Nikkei starting to sell off now. All right. Well, that being said, we could keep an eye on the Nikkei. So let's do this. Let's keep an eye on this Nikkei, and let's go over the trades I had today. Let's go over the trades. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use the full chart for that. I'm going to use a full chart. You can keep an eye on the Nikkei. Yeah, everybody, if you want to keep an eye on the Nikkei for me while I take a look at the NASDAQ, because I'm going to use the full chart, and I'm going to go over I'm going to go over my trades today. Okay, so NASDAQ, now these are going to be different price levels because it's a contract roll. So, you know, sometimes it's unfortunate when it is a contract roll. But I'm going to go over exactly what my plan was today during the New York session. Today during the New York session, I lost $5,000. So I lost $5,000. Usually, I mean, I don't want to say that's nothing, but usually that doesn't really mean much, right? It's just following your process. If it's a losing day, it's a losing day. You lose 5,000, you lose 5,000. It's part of the process. You move on to the next, and you continue to follow that process, you know, understanding your statistics with a positive expectancy. However, today was a little bit different. Not only was it just, you know, following my process, it's a losing day, I feel like today I don't know if I learned something, but I think it was more of a reminder to me, a very good reminder to me of like what the heck am I doing? I need to follow my process and follow what I say. So here is a 1 hour chart. Here's a 1 hour chart. And what I was looking at, so where's the, make sure I'm lining everything up correctly. I want to make sure it's lined up correctly. So here's the 1 hour chart before we opened up, and we got a nice rally. So what I was looking at and what I was measuring, so I was looking at something like this. Okay, so I was kind of thinking, you know, we've rallied overnight. We've rallied during the London session. We have an opportunity for this market to do some, like, you know, maybe find some resistance, find something, maybe consolidate. Now I know this drawing's not perfect, but look to consolidate. I'm not looking for too big of a breakout today during the New York session, and it also, as the New York session, I'm going to go ahead and jump to a 5-minute chart, and I'm going to see about a 100 tick chart. Let's do this. I want to set it up exactly the way I was looking at it, and I want to review these trades as good as I can because I wanted to talk about it. I want to make sure I'm doing the right ones. Let's see here. Okay, so that first trade was there, and my second trade, I believe that was my second trade. There was my 2 trades, and they were both short. Okay, 2 trades today, 2 shorts. And so I was like, you know, today I could see a little bit not as strong as a breakout today. So obviously today caught me by surprise having such a strong market. And here is the New York session. So let me make sure all these charts are correlated. Both of these charts are correlated. And what my mindset was like, okay, well, here's the New York session. We opened up. I was waiting, being patient. We rallied up. And so I didn't take this first short, which, you know, technically it could be a valid trade and it would have worked out pretty well. You know, everyone knows how I love the 3-bar reversals. You know, maybe I would have been able to catch a better price, but worst case scenario, I would have shorted at 261, maybe 260. I would have been able to catch, you know, maybe 30 points, right? Depending on what I was looking at. But something in this market, and I wanted to point this out because I said this live during stream, and I said, you know, today's a lot different than Friday. Friday we rallied and immediately rejected, and like it was pretty volatile, right? We sold off 150 points, 100, 200 points. Today was different, and the reason why I said that was the same price point. Let me make sure it's correct. This, if I want to show everybody this, that is a lot different than what we seen on Friday. So every single sell-off, right? Every time we try and break a low, and I want to show this here on the 100 tick chart, because here's the reversal, and here's why I did not take that short. This is part of it. Every little break, like we try to make a lower low here on the 100 tick chart, immediately got bought up. And then we tried to do it again, got bought straight up. And I'm not saying a little bit. Like this is a 10, 15 point bounce in like a minute, a few seconds, like really fast. And once again, we did it again, and then again, and then we finally had that sell off, and I was like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. And sure enough, the same thing that happened on Friday happened again. This time it was different. This time we didn't reject when we pushed back and we tested that same entry level. This time we just kept going, right? Friday we rejected and sold off another, 100 or 200 points. Today we held and we kept going. And I said, well, based off this price action, it's a see money, take money kind of day. And I was thinking that same thing. Like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and still trade my process, but I'm going to look to take see money, take money. My first trade was right there. I got short at this 3-bar reversal. Everyone knows I had my stop loss right above it. And sure enough, it gave me an opportunity to at least close out for, 15 points, right? So I got short. Let's see, we rallied up over here on the 100 tick chart, and I got short. I think it was right here. Got short on this break. Let me highlight this. It was something like that. I remember seeing where we bounced once, twice, and then we broke. And I was kind of pointing out a shoulder, maybe a head, and then a shoulder. And then we got kind of a preemptive 3-bar reversal right there. And it was just a decent short. It was a good short. I really was. And then over here on the 100 tick, I want to make sure it's measured. It gave me an opportunity to close it out for a scalp, right? A scalp. And I was really thinking, like, maybe we could get back down to 260s. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? This is not a bad trade. I'm okay with losing this trade. I'll lose this trade every single time it sets up. I'll take this trade every time that sets up. But the trade that really upset me, the trade that I really wanted to talk about, was this very next trade. Because this one was okay. I'll live with this trade. But this very next trade is the one that I messed up, and the one that was not good. So here was the trade. I got in short at 330, or it was something 30. Okay, let's just say it was right there. Because we rolled the contracts and it was different, and that's about where I got in short. Okay, actually it was higher. It was about right there, because I remember it was the same pattern, same exact pattern, same setup. I was looking for a shoulder, head, shoulder, and I was looking for us to break down, right? So we broke down, and I got in this mess. I was like, okay, I actually got in, like, I think it was either on this candle or this candle, not really sure. Well, you'll have to watch that replay. So it was the same thing, and I was looking for a 3-bar reversal. My stop loss, it's all-time highs, so we didn't have much structure to go off. My stop loss was, I'll have to go through because it's a different contract. It was really close. It came within a few ticks to hitting my stop loss. Let's just say that was my stop loss. It came within a few points from hitting my stop loss. Okay, so it rallied up, came within a few points of hitting my stop loss, turned around. Okay, it turned around, and not only did it turn around, it went in my favor, and I had an opportunity. And live, I could have closed this out for 20, 24 points for a good 1-to-1 risk reward. And I even said that live during stream. I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for this. I'm in the money 1-to-1. However, I'm going to see if I could close for a profit down here. And I was looking for this zone to start closing off contracts. And I'm just like, now with the power of hindsight, if I would have just did exactly what I said, I was like, well, it's a see money, take money kind of day. I'm going against the trend, and I need to just scalp, right? And I said that today's a lot different than Friday. I'm going against the trend. This is a valid setup. I should be happy with a 1-to-1 risk reward, be happy with 20 points. This gave me, more than 20 points. And then sure enough, it turned around and stopped me out. This was my mistake. This is where I'm saying, I read it different. I understood that the market is acting different than Friday. It was holding up a lot better. And I should have expected that, of course, this is a trending market. Of course, this is a counter trend. And of course, we could expect a higher low, which is exactly what that was a higher low. And while I was saying that, down here, right, this morning, right when the New York session first opened up, I even said it. I said, this market's different than Friday. It's, I don't know if I said see money, take money, but yeah, that's 100% what I should have done. Yes, I would have taken a loss. So I've been down like 28 points, but this would have been positive 28 points. So in reality, with the shoulda, woulda, coulda, and proper trade management, this at the very least, I could have at least maybe trailed it down, maybe took some of the contracts off. I don't really know. It's very hard to say because it's hindsight trading, but definitely there was an opportunity to make money on this trade and not let this turn around against me. So that was a mistake by me, and that's where a lot of my frustration came today. I'm like, wow. I watched the replay, which is a nice thing, right? Is I got to watch the replay because I'm recording myself live, and when I'm on TopstepTV, I get to see it. And I get to go through my trades like that. And then I think to myself, okay, if I'm going to see money, take money, how would I have closed this trade out? So that's the next thing I ask myself. If I'm short, then was there anything in this price action and anything in this area that would have signaled to me scalp, right? This is where I would be able to take money. This is where I would be able to short and take that trade. So remember, I was short in this, let's just say 326, right? So first off, we found a lot of support. So this is a lot of hindsight, and this is kind of just going through my process instead of what could I have done better following my process. Was there any clues, indications? Well, obviously, look at all that support there. And the first clue, the first thing I should have done was when it came up to almost hitting my stop loss and sold off all the way back down here, I should have closed off a position. I was in short 5 contracts, closing off 2 contracts, maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 on the retest of this support should have been the right move. Like that is the right move in the way that I would trade a see money, take money kind of day. So that was number 1. I held, of course, and here we go again. We sold off, not once, but twice. And the second opportunity was this strong resistance. Like this was a decent resistance where we broke out. We came down. We tested it again. We consolidated. We had a nice reversal, right? Here's a double bottom that I talk about. Some trader statistics. We look at a double bottom. We look at a nice reversal. We look at a pivot. And so very well, this could have been an indication to just close out of some. And then finally, not only that, is we got that reversal. We got that breakout. And even if I wasn't closing it out for a profit, remember this is my stop loss, so I'm going to highlight this red. And so I should have, and this could have been a very clean signal of just, hey, let's just close it out here instead of letting it go all the way back to my stop loss. So there was some indication that would have been able to prevent me from taking the full loss on this single trade. And I was thinking about it today and saying, you know what? I followed the wrong process. This was a process for like the price action we seen on Friday, But once I identified this market is not what it is on Friday, that's when I should have switched up. That's when you, either myself or who's ever trading, when you start to identify something in the markets, you need to follow it. And so I think it was very important to maybe explain that. Let's open it up to some questions, because I'm sure there's a lot of questions. Any thoughts on that? Any thoughts on everything I just went over, on the 2 trades I had on the New York session and my thought process on those 2 trades? Both of them were losses. Both of them were counter trend trades. Both of them were in profit. And it was really a see money, take money day. Now, on the opposite end, of course, it's easy to say, 3-bar reversal, just go with the trend. 3-bar reversal, just go with the trend. And yeah, that is obviously the much easier trade, going with this, taking these 3-bar reversals long. And every 3-bar reversal would play out very, very nicely. As I could imagine, Muhammad probably traded this very well. Muhammad's an amazing trader. And yeah, these 3-bar reversals with the trend. And I don't know why I was just counter trend. Maybe it was because of Friday. 3-bar reversal was just not strong enough today. Let's go through some of these questions. Man, I need a drink after that one. Can you share the difference between today and Friday? I did this morning, right? This was the big difference where I was showing the price action. Friday, obviously, it was we did end up selling off, right? See this huge move? This was a huge move followed by immediate rejection, right? Today, we got a slow grinding move, right? Overnight, we had this nice long move overnight. And then this wasn't like 5 minutes, right? This move didn't happen in 5 minutes. The one on Friday happened really fast, 5, 10, 15 minutes straight up and then straight back down. So it was more of a knee-jerk reaction. It was Friday. And then watching the price action myself on this smaller time frame, or a smaller chart, like a 100 tick chart, you just seen the buyers step in. I explained it during that, but it was definitely different. Really different. Oh, wow. Lots of spam. I don't see that. The RR is different than yours. Yeah, their RR is different than yours. Yeah, I was looking for a better risk reward. I was looking for more, and it should have been a see profit, take profit. That's okay. Let them watch the replay. They could watch the replay. Still on the Nikkei? Yeah, let's see. Let's take a look at the Nikkei trade. Oof, yeah. Nikkei's selling off. Nikkei's selling off. It's right near my stop loss. Right near it. We'll see it. We'll see it. We'll see if we could get. We'll see if we'll get it. It's not looking too good. Dakota, do you find trend days harder to trade rather than range days? It depends. It depends if I could identify them. For me, that's where I struggle, Bradley, is identifying a trend day versus a range day. Trend day versus a range day. That's immediate price rejection was a major pivot point on the pivot indicator on Friday. Yeah, that immediate price rejection on Friday was huge. It was a huge indicator that we rejected on Friday. You learn to trade where you'd put your stop loss. Yeah, sometimes it feels like that, and sometimes that is the better trade, where your entry, if your entry is the stop loss, and yeah, trust me. I mean, you see it here. There's too many times. Sometimes it does feel it comes down, it stops you out, and then it turns around. But sometimes that's can be how it is. It was moving sideways Friday. Do you focus on what your risk or your take profit? I focus on what I'm risking first. I always like to focus on the risk first, and then I'll focus on the take profits. Best way for new traders to develop reliable processes. Simplicity, always simplicity for me. Simplicity is the best way for newer traders to develop a process. That's on Walmart China News. What's on Walmart China News? This sell-off is on Walmart China News. Walmart and I guess Walmart and China is establishing a partnership. There's not a lot of news. It's kind of light tonight. Tomorrow morning we do have U.S. retail sales. We have some news in the morning. Of course, Wednesday is going to be a big day. Wednesday is FOMC. Wednesday is going to be a big day for FOMC. This is looking like it's going to stop me out. Thinking about, I just close this. Do I close it or do I move my stop loss? I was debating having my stop loss down here to 500, but that's just way too wide. It's probably the right decision though. If my stop loss was right here, I'd be risking 6,000. I don't think I want to risk 6,000. Do I? I don't think that's the right decision though. This is where I really wanted my stop loss. Would I kick myself? I don't know. My gut's telling me not to. I mean, this is a quarter. This is like risking a 0.25%. This is about a 0.25% on this account. Ooh, I don't know, everyone. I am really second guessing myself here on moving my stop loss. This is where I struggle on whether this is the right stop loss or not. Yeah, my rules will be okay with both. My rules are okay with both. It's just which one I want to decide and how I'm looking at this trade. Because this is my take profit, right? That's my take profit. And so my rules are okay with this, right? Because it's still getting a 2-to-1. But I was really looking for a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1. And I keep getting that closer. So my rules are okay with both. But sometimes I have a hard time deciding between the two. Cut and re-enter. Cut and re-enter might be the trade. Get a better entry. I think I might do it. I think I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm sorry, I'm doing it. I know I want to re-enter, cutting and re-entering, but there's a difference between me cutting and re-entering on the NASDAQ and then cutting and re-entering in the Nikkei. I would say I'm okay with cutting and re-entering. It's always cheaper to re-enter than to hold and wait. But the Nikkei, it costs a lot more to re-enter than the NASDAQ. I'd probably close it out and then re-enter down here at 550 if this was the NASDAQ. I don't like it. I just don't like closing it and then re-entering, just because the Nikkei and the spread on the Nikkei is a lot worse because you're paying $25 a tick, and I just don't think I'm gonna. If it is NASDAQ, maybe we'll see if this is the right decision. You guys get to see me. Let's see. Is this the right decision? We're gonna find out. This is an overnight trade now. This is not a scalp. This is an overnight trade. We're going to find out if this is the right decision. All right, we're going to see. Dumbest thing I ever heard. What was the dumbest thing you ever heard? Black lock. I'm not going to add to this. There's no way I'm adding to this. This is on the edge about what I'm going to risk, what I would risk per trade. Nikkei's been my problem child. Yeah. Oh yeah, it has. I'm in a love-hate relationship with the Nikkei. I'm still net positive. I'm still net positive on the Nikkei. but the spread can't be 3,000. You'd be entering it cheaper. Well, not if it depends on where it does turn around, right? If I close it out and then I want to re-enter, and then it doesn't give me an opportunity to re-enter, and here's sometimes where it could be a little bit frustrating, right? Say I let it close me out, or I close it out wherever it was, right? Where was my stop loss? You guys probably know where my stop loss was. I think my stop loss was at like 610, 620. So if that's my stop loss and it ticks me out, and then I still want to re-enter because this is a valid trade, then yeah, I might be getting a little bit worse price, and then my stop loss is still going to be the same. We're going to see. Let's see. We could see together. I don't mind. We could see together. I'm going to be on Topstep TV tomorrow morning, and tomorrow morning we're going to be saying, you know what? I should have never moved my stop loss. Or, hey, you know, that was the right decision, because I don't mind seeing. You bet it turns around 500-ish. I don't know. I don't know. There's this at play, right? This is what I've been looking at, and it's still a valid trade. It's just, where do we put our stop loss? Where do we put our stop loss? Is that our stop loss? Is this our stop loss? Maybe below that pivot. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to not switch charts, and we're going to watch this. We're going to all watch this together and see if that was the right decision. I did look at gold, James Scott, not very often. What about setting a ladder or sell with buy orders? I don't know. We're going to see if this was the right decision, everybody. Who do I owe a free reset to? And you can watch, we could watch this ladder. We could watch the ladder. $39,600 should be a stop loss key level. Oh man, there's an argument. I like these two. The where I had my stop loss and where I have it now were the two levels I liked. Now remember, there's zones. These are zones. This is sometimes the harder thing is with zones. Everyone's saying me. This is the problem with zones, right? Is where is a better stop loss? Is it going to be there? 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 This is a zone. This is a decent zone for support and resistance that I was looking at. And yeah, it's very hard to say exactly where a stop loss should be. When I could have two different points, whether I'm going to go for a 3-to-1 risk reward or a 2-to-1 risk reward. Right now, this is set up for a 2-to-1 risk reward for an overnight trade. I mean, odds are we might not even get all the way up there, right? This, if I go to bed tonight and I wake up, we might be somewhere in between this. I mean, odds are actually we might be somewhere in between this when I wake up. We could probably be around, maybe we're right back where we were, and I wake up and we're at 39,730. So if this trade works out, and if we do end up catching and buying, will we get all the way up there? You know, maybe, maybe not. Odds are it's unlikely, because I mean it's a lower probable trade because you're getting a higher risk reward. I do not look at the dollar yen, H-Truth. Why not ladder sell one contract and buy one contract down 20 points, repeat all the way down to your new stop? I'm not 100% sure what you mean on that one. All right, what was my stop loss? What was my stop loss? I got to see, what was that stop loss? Sell, sell. I was moving it, stop, move. It was at 230? That's not it. My stop loss when I started, where was my stop loss, everybody? 615. No, it wasn't really. Was it really 615? No way was it 615. I thought it was 620. All right, it was 615, huh? It was the low of day so far. It was. Could you imagine? Could we imagine? I think it would have closed me out. It would have closed me out for a market order. I would have been liquidated at 615. That would have been that would have been frustrating, huh? Yeah, if it was 615, it would have liquidated me. Someone's saying it was at 610. All right, watch. All right, well, we're going back. Now I'm taking a look at that replay. We're looking at that replay. Where was my stop loss? 615. It was 615 was my stop loss. My stop loss was no way it was at 650. That is nuts. Right decision? Maybe. I don't know. Time will tell. Do I move it back? Do I move it back to 610? Wow. Wow. Insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah, it was at 615. I watched the replay. Stop loss was at 615 and the low of day is 615. Should just double down, huh? Add 5. Dakota, is your VIP team complete? Can I please join? I got 2 payouts so far, 1,700. Great work. There's going to be a drawing in January. So there is nobody on my VIP team. The drawing is going to be in January. So this upcoming month, not this month, not December, but next month. That is when the drawing. Stay tuned to the TopstepTV daytime show, giving out the opportunity to sign up and put your name in the hat for the drawing. No name yet. Segi, there's a thin line between market institution and Deegan trading. Yeah. This is. I'm not going to add to this trade. I mean, sure, there's probably a world, and I could find myself adding to it if we get down here. But this is my risk. That's my risk. If it was 2 contracts, I would have. I almost guarantee you I would add down here regardless. But not going to be risking more than what I need to on this. Sucks for people who work during the day and can't watch 24/7. Gatlin, I'm gonna work with the team and see if I could do some of those during my class, during slow markets, seeing what I could do, because I definitely want traders that are on my VIP who are in my slow markets class. And I do know there's a lot of traders here that are just exactly that. They are either sleeping or they have a job and they can't watch Topstep TV all day to be able to sign up and check in. So I'm going to see about getting some signups in my slow markets class. That would be nice. Yeah. Trust me, I'm always fighting for my slow markets, because this is my babies, right? This is my class, slow markets. This is where I put a lot of hard work and dedication. Live in the Asian markets. Links normally drop below 4 a.m. Yeah, sometimes it can be tough. Same here. Slow markets has changed my life. Good. I'm glad. That's the goal. Will there be more Topstep TV takeovers? Maybe one day. I'm sure we'll have another takeover one day. Yeah. That probably just came out weird, right? That just came out weird. Only issue with Asia is low liquidity condition. Yeah, that's why higher time frames. Higher time frames are always there for the win. Higher time frames. So like an hourly chart, something on a higher time frame is always what I love on low liquidity, slow markets, Asian session. You normally get crushed. Slow markets is not for scalping. However, we do get some good volatility sometimes in slow markets. Every once in a while, we could find a decent scalp. Wat mild. I entered long 69.20. 69.20. That's a great entry. Great entry. Did anybody get in long? Who's long? Who's trading the Nikkei tonight? Let me know in the chat. When do you think your TP on this trade would be and why? So my take profit on this trade is going to be up here near these highs. And the reason why is because of exactly that. This was the nice resistance. This trade is for a play on a break of these 39,800s. Of course, we always want to get better price. We could always get better pricing. There's always opportunities to get better price. You can never get the best. You can never buy the bottom, sell the low. And how was that for a decision so far? If I wake up tomorrow morning and I don't know what else to say. You guys seen where my stop loss was. My stop loss was at 615, low of day. And if this thing just goes up and it ends up hitting my take profit, or at least rallying, and tomorrow morning I'm in a good position, I mean, I'm going to have to do something for slow markets. We're going to have to do something. I would have been liquidated. I would have. It was a liquidation right at 615. That stop loss is that's insane. Would you do this again in the future? I think if this similar setup, I would do it again in the future, depending on if I'm watching it, right? Because a lot of it's going to matter whether I'm sitting in front of the computer screen watching it and being able to make decisions like that, watching price action, watching this, making that decision. Remember, I took this trade literally right at like 15 minutes before slow markets was starting. I grabbed me a drink. I set up my slow markets class. I set up like everything else, and then I jumped on stream. And then I kind of walked through it. And after I did my rapid fire, we reviewed NASDAQ, we reviewed crude oil, we went through these different ones. And now I'm over here looking at the Nikkei. And then as it started to sell off, I mean, I made that decision. I mean, I was kind of thinking out loud, right? I was thinking out loud, talking through it. Like, do I, should I, would I, does this make sense? Is it still a decent risk reward? Is there still a possibility? Is this, are we going to be hitting this in a day? Is this going to be a breakout? This is an overnight trade for me. It's valid. Are we going to get back up to these 900s? Maybe, maybe not. And I'm just going through this same thought process from the same technicals based off this pattern, right? That's what this pattern is based off of. This is a flagging pattern, equal highs, higher lows, and this has continued to be higher lows. And then we took a look at the daily chart. We took a look at this is the hourly chart. And, big shout out to Peter Brandt. And he posted on X, I love the Nikkei. I talk about the Nikkei every night. So it was nice to see, someone like him talking about the Nikkei as well, and, aligning similar views. I'm like, wow, that's great. That's the same thing I'm looking at. Of course, I'm not going to hold it. I'm not going to be able to, I'm not going to hold this trade for days or weeks. This is going to be an overnight trade for me. It's not going to be a swing trade, but this is a valid trade. Now, definitely there's a reason to, could I have found a buy right here? Sure. There's definitely it's looking a lot simpler, right? Buy the dip, buy when we touch this trend line. That looks pretty dang simple now, right? You're waving your Harry Potter wand at the Nikkei. That makes up for anything, to be honest. The fact that I moved the stop right when I was going to get liquidated and made that decision I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. Even if this is a loss, I don't mind it. That's worth the $5,000. This isn't buying a falling knife. Buying a falling knife is buying if we started selling off, and then you just buy right here for some reason. This would be buying a falling knife. This is buying the bottom of a flagging pattern, or this is buying a flagging pattern. Oh, I'm not a market maker. I mean, that move was something else, right? Could you imagine if I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to add buy 5. What would everybody do if I decided to just buy 5 at 615 and then we just go straight up? That would have been something else. That would have been, I don't know. I would just end class right there. I'll just end class. Like, you know what? I'm going to move my stop down to 490 and just buy 5, 615. I mean, It's like they knew. It's like they knew, right? Where's my stop? You could see it right there. That was something else. Let's see if it's going straight up. The SEC would have came knocking. Something would have happened. I don't know. That was just, that doesn't happen very often. How old was I when I started learning how to trade? I started learning about trading when I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I escaped the liquidity. I escaped the liquidity monsters down there. Stop runners. Not today. Not today. So far. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. This trade's not done yet. This is not a winning trade just yet. So, gotta hold off till tomorrow. This is an overnight trade. This is a trade. Now remember, it's overnight. So, I'm going to be in this trade for until morning, until I wake up, until, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. So, I'm still going to be in this trade until then. It's kind of insane that we just bounced straight off of that. That is, it really was 6:15, huh? That's so crazy. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, 6:15. 6:15 is where that stop loss was. Well, sometimes you get lucky. Got out of hospital thinking of Nikkei. Yeah, we talk about the Nikkei a lot in slow markets. Let's get to some more questions. All right, let's go through these questions. Segi, I understand how you set your stop and how you trade it, but how do you decide on your take profits? The same way, okay? The same way. So if I look at these higher time frames, the same way I decide on my take profits and the same way I decide on my stops, it's the same thing, right? Where I'm looking at this and I'm saying that, this could very well be an area for take profit. Now, of course, you always wish you bought the bottom, right? I wish I would have just waited and bought the very, very bottom. Some of you guys did. It's awesome to see that some of the traders here in the chat did end up buying down here. That's amazing. I love to see it. And so some take profit opportunities is support and resistance, right? This is a decent level of resistance. This is a big zone. And so there's a fair reason to say that this could be a decent take profit, right? Maybe 870. Maybe look for 1 or 2 contracts take profit up and in this zone. Next, same thing. Where's the next level of support and resistance? Well, maybe you can make an argument for this level, right? There's some support. There's some resistance here. That could be another decent, right? You never know for sure. Level of support and resistance for a take profit. That's also a nice round number, 40,000. So let me zoom this out so you could see it a little bit better. Let me go right there. So there we go. So 40,000 is a very big, nice round number. So that's very well could be an opportunity to take some profit. And then here we go again. Like, look for another level of support and resistance. Maybe you're looking at this. Maybe you're looking at this as a big zone. And so it really depends. There is some discretion, right? There's some discretion on how you look at support and resistance and what you decide is what's support and resistance for you. But yeah, I'm looking up here. See if we could test 40,200s. Now this is this is a stretch for one day in the Nikkei, and this is an overnight trade. And if I wake up tomorrow, and the Nikkei is up here and we're kind of just hanging around this, I'll make a decision. I'll say, where are we at tomorrow morning? If I'm still in this trade, maybe it did go down and stop me out, or if we're somewhere in between here, I'll wake up tomorrow and make a decision. Let's just say I go to bed tonight, I leave this trade running, it stops me out. Okay, I wake up minus $5,900. Or I wake up and we're break even, and I make a decision. I say, is this something I really want to hold on to? How was the price action overnight? Did we go up? Did we test this? Did we come down? Or did we just go sideways? There's also you never know exactly what the market's going to do. And if we go to sideways, I say, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this and move on to the next. Maybe I'm on TopstepTV Fast Markets. I'm going to have the opportunity to trade during the New York session as well. Or if I wake up tomorrow and I'm going to be honest, if we wake up tomorrow and we're up here in these levels and we start to break out, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm in a Nikkei trade. I'm long the Nikkei. I'm in a positive position. If that's the case, I'm going to be up like $4,000. Say I'm going to maybe move my stop loss. Maybe I could find an opportunity to trail it, right? Trail my stop loss. And then I can make that decision. Do I want to hold this Nikkei trade for longer? Do I want to hold this throughout the New York session? There's a possibility. I've done trades like that before. Or do I call the risk management team? I could also call the risk management team and say, hey, I'm in a good Nikkei position. I want to hold this. And they're like, yeah, you know what? Let's do this 5 contracts. Let you hold this trade overnight. And I say overnight, it's past the 2:10 p.m. And then I have that conversation with the risk management team on whether or not, should I be holding this trade, or if they want me to, like, hey, if they, because I've had that conversation before. It's like, hey, are you okay with holding 3 contracts? Close 2 for profit, lock in some profit, and then hold the other 3 contracts and do that instead of all 5 of them. And they're like, oh, you know what? That makes sense. Let's do that. And that's sometimes the beauty of having, that conversation with the risk management team. Overnight trade. Do you shut down your computer? Topstep X. Ask questions. Are you sure? I do. I will close my platform. I'll click the X button, and then I'm done. Right? That's it. I'll turn my computer off. I'll go to bed. I'll wake up in the morning. I'll log in, and I'll say, okay, well, where are we at? What did we do? Where did the market move? I will close my computer down. I have. That's knowing that I have a stop loss and knowing everything about it, I'm perfectly fine. And having that comfortable example, especially in a live account. Hey, Dakota, can you give us an example of that 3-bar reversal from Friday? Thank you. I would love to tonight. I go over the example a lot and very often in my slow markets. I would 100% recommend watching Friday's recording. If you watch Friday's recording on TopstepTV during fast markets, I've went over it a few times while I was in the trade too. So it goes more in depth if you watch that recording. Dakota, do you have limit orders set up, waiting at different levels to enter the market? Not very often. Not very often. It depends. It really depends on the markets. Sometimes I do have limit orders set up and waiting. Who trades the 15-minute? I don't trade the 15-minute, but the 15-minute looks like a 3-bar reversal, right? That's a 3-bar reversal on the 15-minute. Do you really get bad fills in a live account? Melvin, yeah. Bad fills are different. Fills are different in a live account. It depends on what your definition of bad is. If you're using limit orders, you get that price. A limit order is a limit order. Limit order means you get that exact price. If you use a market order, yeah, you're probably going to get not as good of fills comparing it to a simulated account over a long period of time. And Douglas answers that question. It depends on liquidity. Yep, it depends on the liquidity. Five-minute time frame is my trading time frame. The 5-minute time frame is the time frame I look at the most. The 5-minute time frame is where I watch the markets and where I make most of my decisions on the 5-minute. And then I have the 100-tick chart over on the right. If it's the NASDAQ, it's the 100-tick chart. If it's the Nikkei, it's like the 1-minute chart. But yeah, I usually zoom in. This is zooming in on the right-hand side, and then the 5-minute chart on the left-hand side. Is NQ in a 3-bar reversal now? 15 minutes. We can take a look. Let's take a look. We can take a look at the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. 3-bar reversal on the NASDAQ on the 5-minute. I wouldn't consider that a 3-bar reversal. We're breaking out though. NASDAQ is bullish. NASDAQ's breaking out. That's the market to be in. All-time highs. Here we go. Let's see. Let's take a look. I want to see. NASDAQ is the trade of the night. Right? We broke out. This is the support and resistance. Excuse me. The support and resistance. Yeah, this was straightforward, right? This was support, became resistance, resistance. We broke out of the resistance. Resistance became support again, just like it did during the New York session. And now the question is, are we going to be breaking through this, right? This was resistance, support. If we break through this next level, are we going to see up here into these 430s? Maybe. So just watching this NASDAQ play. I'm not seeing any 3-bar reversals on the 5-minute here in the NASDAQ. ENV. Yeah, I'm going to explain this. I'm going to just keep explaining it until I just freaking make that video. Man, I don't know why. Every single time I get ready to make that video, something comes up and I end up getting distracted or doing something else. Yeah, Envy, just make a video, send a link to everybody, copy paste that link, everyone. Yeah. Cut the segment as a short video for it. I mean, any recording of slow markets, you're going to find a 3-bar reversal explanation at this point. At this point, any recording of slow markets will have a 3-bar reversal explanation. Let's see. Is there anything else moving tonight? We looked at Nikkei. We looked at that. Let's take a look. I want to take a look. We'll watch the Nikkei. We'll watch this. We'll watch paint dry together while I answer a few more questions. Coming up to the end of class. Wow, class goes by so fast. Last 12 minutes worth of class. Let's go through. I'm going to go through. Let's go through last questions. Last 12 minutes. Market's just boring, right? Market is boring. So I told you the market will not do it. I mean, sometimes that's how it is. This market does not exactly do what I want it to do or moves whenever I'm live. And sometimes it is what it is, where, hey, guess what? Just because I'm in a trade doesn't mean it's going to move while I'm live. Sometimes it does it right after I finish class. Sometimes it does it right before I start class. And sometimes it does it in the middle of the night. So I wish I could just tell the market only move, and so I can make my decisions live. But unfortunately, that just does not work out. Do you know how I could get out of jury duty? I don't. No, that's such a random question. Slow markets can be slow, don't you say? Yeah, that's the reality of it. That's why we trade higher time frames. What percent of your account do you use for a stop loss? Approximately. This is approximately, oh man. It changes, right? It changes. Usually it's about 0.5%. My stop loss is usually about 0.5% of my account value. Right now it is at, I'll tell you, let's see if I can. Let's go. Just over 1%. Just over 1%. So this stop loss is just over 1% of my account. If the Nikkei is bad luck, I mean, it depends on the day and the trade. I mean, I think it was, what? Last week or the week before, I had a $10,000 trade, a $12,000. I'm positive on the Nikkei for the year. The past few trades I've struggled with, but it's just like anything. It's just like any of my trades. It really is. I lose 70% and I only win 30%. Even last Friday, Was last Friday? Yeah, last Friday was a loss on the Nikkei, but a win in the NASDAQ. IRS in the chat. Nah, I mean, beautiful thing is, I haven't. This money is in a prop firm account. I don't pay taxes on this money yet. This is an account that I have not withdrawn out of anything yet. So, taxes is always on the question, right? So what you're saying is do the opposite of me? If you want to do the opposite of me, I could guarantee you two things. If you do the opposite of me, NV, I can guarantee you two things. I'll guarantee you that you'll have a high win percentage. But then if you copy every single trade, you'll have a negative expectancy. Hey, there's something to it. Coach, bid and ask is much higher. Why is it not reflecting properly? Because the last fill price, look, the last fill price was 660. Okay. The last trade in the Nikkei is 660. The bid, 675. The ask, 685. So this is liquidity. This is what we're talking about, where there's a major difference between a sim account and a live account. If you have a sim account, you could just buy 1,000 contracts and you could get 685, right? You could get 690, 685 buying 1,000 contracts. But in a live account, if you buy 1,000 contracts, you're going to get the next 1,000 contracts. So you'd have to go through and add your 1,000 contracts. You might be getting filled, 40,000. So you can't. Does that make sense? Because that's the difference between live and simulated, and that's why simulated traders you really need to understand there's a difference. Okay, because if you come in here and buy in a simulated account, price doesn't move. You're going to get 685, buy market, 1,000 contracts, simulated account. I'll get filled at 685. Then I could sell market as soon as it moves up a couple ticks, make a ton of money, and be like, wow, that was easy. But then you try and do that in a real account, a live account, buying 1,000 contracts. Like I said, you're not going to get filled until you get 1,000 contracts. And look there's almost no liquidity at those higher prices. So there's not 1,000 contracts to fill you. And so you're going to have a hard time getting the price you want. You could put a limit order and hope it gets filled, right? That's why when you see on TopstepTV, we're watching the ES, we're watching the DOM, and you can say, hey, there's 1,000 contracts come in, and they're placing them at limit orders. And so there is a major difference. And I think you guys have seen me trade. I'm in my live account, and when you see me close a position or enter position, I think I showed it to you. Correct me if I'm wrong, where I showed when I trade it, and I closed out of a position and it moved the market, especially in this liquidity. If I sell market one, I could sell market one and it will fill at 675, and you could watch the price and you could see my order go through the books. How many Chicago Bear lost references will we see on fast markets tomorrow? Did the Chicago Bears lose? Is that even a question? Is that even the question? I mean, they still have a chance, right? They still have a chance. 0-13. A very small chance. I've shown that. Yeah, I've shown it. It showed it. Sorry if this is a personal question. However, is your family background in trading investments? No, Slippers. My family background is coal mines. Coal mines. Working in the coal mines. Blue collar, coal mines, farming. Believe it or not, I'm probably one of the first people in my family that have a desk job. I was... this is a good question. I think I might be the first person to get a bachelor's. I was going to say associates, but I think I have some family members with associates. Zoolander. I know some are bear. I know some people like Zoolander. Really, a bunch of No, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything. I'm on stream, but there are some people just like Zoolander. It is pretty funny too. We call them the very green, very green. Alva, when you tell your family that you're trading, what is their reaction like? Well, I don't. Sometimes I don't like to tell my family how much I make in trading, because we all know how it is with family sometimes. Yeah, we all know. Usually when family finds out you make money trading, it's like, hey, you know, I need to borrow this, I need to borrow that, I mean this and that. So yeah. You're gambling. What's gambling here? We finally got a TD. Don't bother talking trading. Yeah, I don't like talking trading, to be honest. Or personals, right? I'll talk trading. I like talking investments. I really love talking investments with family. I think it's very important. I think financial literacy is very important at all ages, including, you know, any family members, where I will love having conversations about financial literacy, about where do I invest this, where do I invest that. And guess what? Whenever I have a family member ask me what they should do with money, I will always tell them, hey, invest it in something you love. Like, if you love Apple, invest in Apple. If you're interested and you like Tesla, buy Tesla. If you like NVIDIA, buy NVIDIA. Invest in something you love, and invest in something that you know is going to be around. And if you don't, maybe just buy an index, right? Just buy an index, buy something that you're going to hold on for a very long time, and then just like, hey, but by the way, maybe the best thing to do is, talk to your own financial advisor. Just say the S&P 500, easy peasy. Bit Bitcoin, right? That's what what's his name on CNBC, you know, just buy Bitcoin. Just buy. If it keeps going higher, you buy it. What's his name? Oh, isn't he like the CEO and owner of MicroStrategies, or what is it? Microcomputer? No, not Kramer. The one that just keeps buying Bitcoin, and like Saylor. Yes, Skylar Saylor. Maybe that's the thing. Just buy Bitcoin. If it keeps going up, just keep buying. Buy it. Take out a house loan and buy Bitcoin. I don't know how I feel about that. I really don't. MicroStrategy. It's working, but I don't see myself taking out a home loan and buying Bitcoin. Don't say it like that. I mean, that's how it comes across. That's really, some of what I've seen was just like that, where people are, it's pretty insane. It might get even more insane by the time we see the end of it. Maybe we don't see the end of it. Maybe it just keeps going up and up and up, and everyone just gets rich, right? Yeah, Bitcoin is so volatile. Sell the kits for Bitcoin. Even for gold, I don't think I would even. I don't think there's a safe enough investment that I would ever mortgage a house and invest into it. I mean, a house. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to keep going and talking about finance. I could sit here and talk for hours and hours. Man. That being said, okay, all right, we're coming to the end of class. I'm diving through rabbit holes here, but I think this is where I'm going to end it. I am long the Nikkei. Love it. See it. This is an overnight trade for me. It might turn into a swing trade. We'll see. I like this long. long from 39,730. My stop loss is at 490. As I'm finishing up, we're watching Nikkei now bounce. Now that we're coming to an end of class, there we go. We're getting that nice bounce now because it knows I'm going to end class. And so it says now end class, market could go up, and it's free to move about because I ended class. It just waited. It loves to test my patience. But yeah, this is going to be overnight trade. We'll see where it comes in tomorrow morning. I will be on fast markets tomorrow morning on TopstepTV. We'll see if I'm still in this trade or not. It's going to be either a loss or we're going to be somewhere in between. Odds are, I mean, I don't think it's going to get to 40,215. We'll see. That is quite a big move on the Nikkei for it to get there. That's why I'm saying it might turn into a long, maybe holding it throughout the New York session. And maybe I'm having the same conversation tomorrow morning. Maybe when I come into slow markets tomorrow morning or tomorrow night, I'm still going to be in the same position. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But other than that, see everybody. See you bright and early tomorrow morning or tomorrow night during slow markets. Take care.